Good day, everyone. Today we are making a database on Google Drive. It's basically just having a file system on the internet, and it is great for keeping backups of things. So if you are a writer, this is a very good option to keep all of your information backed up in case your computer crashes or something and we don't want to lose all of your work. Another good thing that it is good for is making a database, because it is super easy to do. Now, why do we make a database? Well, a database is very good for a few reasons. If you write any high fantasy or sci-fi where the environment is not on Earth, it's very important to keep all of your information organized so that you can look it up later and know exactly what you were talking about at the time, and you can reference it later on in your story or in your homebrew. So this database is one that I have come up with. I would probably add specific things for my stories, but this is just as much of a generalized concept that I could get. First of all, I'm going to go over what I put inside the database. Then I will show you what the database does. And then I will also show you how to make your database and how to set it up. So there are a few things that we will be covering, and that is how to link sheets to a different sheet. It really comes in handy when you are trying to organize food items or medicines or anything of that sort of nature. It's really easy to do, and I will show you how to do that. So first, I'm going to show you exactly what I have in this particular database. This is just something really generalized so that if you do want to download this and tweak it, you can. So you can see that we have different sheets down here, and these are all sheets for different topics, but we'll start with areas first. So this is a very, very simple sheet. I just added an area and what the type of area is, like a country or a city or just land. You could add an ocean, and then the general location I would have be maybe like the North Pole or along the equator, whatever. And the population, if it is a type of country or a city or a village. And then the ecosystem. If you do download this and upload it for yourself, you will see that this is a link. And this goes to a page that just shows you all sorts of different kinds of ecosystems so that you can get an idea of which ecosystem you want that particular land to be. This will give you a good idea about the type of weather that's going to be happening in this area and possibly what organisms are going to be living in this area. So that's really helpful. I just wanted to put that in there just so that you can understand what an ecosystem really is. And then I just added a temp range day and temp range night, and then the notes. So this one is a very, very simple sheet. The next sheet I have is characters, and characters are very important to keep very organized, especially if you are making lots of characters, or if you're creating a homebrew, you want to have all of those NPCs organized so that you can look them up quickly and figure out who they are, what they're like, in the middle of a session possibly. For me, having a deceased column is very important because lots of characters die. Even in mine and Sarah's series, lots of characters end up dead, and we still want to reference them later on. So this is why I have this deceased column very first, so that we know who is alive and who is dead. And for me, this is a very important column to have. You don't have to have this. This isn't reliant on anything else in the database. So we'll just make up a character just for the sake of this example. So we can have our character Bill, who is alive. We can have Bill be in the middle of talking with one of the players or of the main character, and we can say, oh yeah, that Ray, oh, he was so kind, and man, he was just, we'll really miss him. So this is really important to have so that we know that Bill is alive, and we can say that he was Bill's best friend. And that way we can reflect back on what has already been. And this can just kind of add a richness to the world around us. Then the first name, last name, gender, title would be anything like Lord or Lady, or even just Mr. or Mrs., whatever you want it to be. And species and race is pretty important for me because our series, we have lots of different planets, so this is a very important column for us. And occupation and class, the home area is just their hometown, so wherever they came from. Primary area is where they are currently or where they spend most of their time, and that might be the town where our adventurers go to and they might likely meet them. And then deity is the god that they worship. Alignment is really mostly for D&D, but I like having a general idea of what a character's thought process is, even for NPCs, even in my own stories. So I just added this alignment just so that we can reference what kind of person they really are. And personality, and then voice. Voice I really added because I have seen lots of DMs or even just players in D&D wonder, oh man, I don't remember which voice I had for that one character. So this is going to be helpful for anybody, especially DMs, who kind of lose track of which voice they are doing for which character. So that's why I added that column as well. And once again, you do not have to have all of these, but this is what I find important. Personally, I would not have voice in here, but I do know a lot of DMs and I do know a lot of players that would like to keep all of their characters completely organized, so that is why I added this one. Now we are getting into ones that are actually important for other sheets, and this is the creature sheet. You will see that there are two columns that are blacked out, and those mean that those columns cannot move. If you do download this and you upload it to your own Google Drive, these two columns will have to stay in these two columns. So food will have to be column A and venomous will have to be column B. So I just have some examples of creatures, and these are really random, obviously. This just shows what I would find important in creating a creature. The creatures, plants, and character sheets for our series are very important, and those are probably the fullest sheets that we have because we are always making new creatures and we have to make sure that they are organized. So for us, the area would be the planet that the creature comes from, and then the creature name, and about, we usually add what the creature looks like, any interesting traits that it might have. Honestly, we have added personality of the overall general population of the creature. Anything that you can think about that makes that creature stand out. Any abilities that it might have. And then this is very important for us because we like to have food in the series. So having these columns is very important for me, and that's why I have the food column and the venomous column. And if it is food, we'll say that it does produce a food item. And this will come up in another sheet that I have linked to this one sheet, and it does something really cool. I love this because we can keep it really organized and it can be a lot of fun. So we'll have this box checked, and we'll say that it makes steak. The dingle hopper from Narnia is a steak item. So we will also say that it's tameable. I just wanted to add this one just in case your adventurers stumble across this one creature and they try to roll a persuasion check on the creature. I just wanted that to be an option so that you know right off the bat that yes, this creature is going to be tameable if they roll high enough in D&D. And then effective bitten, this is for the venomous column. And if this little box is checked, we want to have the effect right here. And then just any notes. Honestly, it being cute would probably be in the about, but I just wanted to show that this column is going to show up in a different sheet, so I just put something random. A note could be that a very rare amount of this species has a big red fluffy tail. So that's just a note that I would put, but honestly, notes are really left blank unless I really have a note to add. All right, and then we're getting to plants, and you will see that I have had 3 columns that are blacked out, and that means that all of this sheet will be in another sheet. And like I said, I will cover what I mean in just a couple minutes. So this is really just basically like the creature sheet, except I do have a medicine column as well, because lots of plants are medicinal, and that is very important to me in our series. So this is just stuff that I would find important. So we have the area, or possibly the planet that it comes from, the plant name, and I find that the plant type is pretty important just so that I have a general idea of what kind of plant it is. So this one is the consumption effects. If you do eat this particular plant, what is the outcome of this? If it's just yummy, then awesome, then it's just food. But if it is poisonous, you might get sick from it. And then about is actually where I would put anything about it. So what it looks like, possibly what the texture is like when you touch it, and so on. Maybe what kind of soil it grows best in, just anything that I find important to add about it. And you know what, I will even add a notes column just so that we have another column to add things in. This is probably my favorite sheet. I love making these sheets because you see all of your hard work really taking form, and it's honestly a lot easier than it will sound. And I will show you guys exactly how to make this work. So you can see that we're on our food, and we have food from plants, we have food from creatures, and then we have other. So this could be whatever you can think of. This is just something for your own imagination to get wild with. So this is drinks, and then we have recipes. And you can tell that these 4 columns are referencing a different sheet. So what it's doing is that it is taking from the plants list, it's going to take anything that has a checkbox in food and then move it to this sheet so that we can have a nice organized little half sheet of everything that is from plants that are food. And the same thing happens with creatures. This one will reference the creatures list with anything that has that food checkboxed. And we don't have to add anything to this list. The only thing that you will add to this list is anything that is in the other, the drinks or the recipes. So you leave the plants and the creatures completely alone, and they will update on their own as long as you have those check boxes. So that is something super fun, and I will show you exactly how to do that if you are making this from scratch. Next is the potions, and once again, this is exactly like the creatures and the plants sheets. This has a medicinal and a poison option that you can check from, and this will show you the name, the effect, and the main ingredient, and a couple of the other ingredients, and then the price if you have to buy it from the store. The next is items, and I wasn't entirely sure what to add to the items. So if you guys are interested in downloading this, but you want me to add something else, please let me know and I will add it before you download it so that we can cover all of the bases that you want to have in this sheet. We do have a healing checkbox. If you do want me to add another checkbox, I definitely can. This one will reference another sheet, and we're really just kind of repeating the process over by this point. We just have the item name, the description, the magical abilities, the price, and any notes that we have. And then we're going to be going to medicine, and you will see that all of these are referencing the other sheets. So this one is referencing the plant sheet. This one is referencing the potion sheet. And then this one is referencing the item sheet. And I do need to add that we do not edit list, edit the edit items sheet. Just to remind us not to add anything to this list, because if you do add something to this list, it will mess the list up. So we don't want to add anything to any of these that say do not edit the list. So we want to make sure that we don't touch the lists. We want to actually change the sheets. So we can, if we want to add something to the plants, we'll want to go to plants and say that it's medicine and something added. So we'll just add something. Okay, and then you can see that once we go back to this sheet, it added everything that I put in there, which is awesome. It's so easy to keep organized like this, and I love it. I love this so much. It helps me so much. So I will just go back and get rid of all of this. Just delete that, and then we'll uncheck this. But that's how easy it is to add things to these lists. But we don't want to add anything. We don't want to add anything to these particular lists. We want to add them to the sheets. So if you do end up downloading this, we want to make sure that we are editing the sheets instead of the lists. All right, so then we have poisons, and same thing, exactly the same thing. And I did not finish this because I wanted to show you actually how to set this up. So I will come back to this, but this is just really the exact same thing. We're just referencing another sheet. It's giving us anything that had that checkbox for poison or for venomous in the creatures. Next we have weapons. Once again, I wasn't entirely sure how to make this sheet because I personally don't use this sheet, but I thought it might be important to other people. But this one has nothing relying on it. You can feel free to add anything that you want on this sheet. Any sheet without the blacked out columns, you can change. Any of the sheets that have the blacked out columns, you don't want to add any more columns or anything because it will mess up the sheets that are referencing them. All right, and then we have currency. Again, I have no idea what to add to this one, but I just decided to go with something because I know that currency will probably be very important for some people, and it honestly will probably become more relevant in my own stories. So I will probably be using a sheet like this in the future, but up until this point, currency has not been very important, so I have not used this sheet. So I just added something that I thought might be important and just went with it. So once again, this one doesn't have any blacked out columns, so you can add whatever you want to this sheet and it won't mess anything up. Finally, we have deities. This is another very important sheet for me because we do have lots of different gods in our writing, so this one is very important for us to have. So I do have everything that I would find important. I am leaving out a few columns that I would personally add. that would be specific to our story, but this is just something basic that most people will be able to use. But once again, this does not have any blacked out columns, so you will be able to add whatever you want to this sheet if you do decide to use this download. So we have the name. Title is anything that the god would be called besides its name, so like Argok the Mighty or whatever. And then the species of deity. Lots of deities do have different races and species, so I did add that one because that one does play an important role in my own writing, so that's why I added that one. And then gender, and then we have the home area. Just like in characters, this is just where they came from. And then primary area worshipped in, and then the age of the deity. This can be from their birth or from when they became a god or whatever. It just depends on the god and what their timeline is. And then main worshipping species, and then the alignment, and then the domain. The domain is important for lots of D&D deities, so that's why I did add this one. A rank for me is important because we do have ranking systems in our writing, so I did add a rank because I feel like other people might use ranks for deities, so that's why I added that one. I did add an inspired by column because lots of our deities are inspired by cultures on Earth, and this just gives you an idea of what you were going with when you originally made the deity character. So that's why I added that one. And then lastly, just any notes that we have. So that is really the database. But if you guys really do want to download this and use it, and it is missing something that you would find important, I can always add it for you and update the download so that you can get it. So just let me know if you find anything that is important and I will fix it. Hey guys, so in recording this video, I realized just how long it is, so I did cut this into 2 parts, and this was covering what exactly is inside the database. And then next week I will cover how to make the database, and if you do download it, I will cover exactly how to set it up as well. If you do want me to change anything or add anything to this database before it goes live, please let me know too so I can add it. And it will go live next week. So until then, I hope you have a wonderful week. I'll see you next week. Bye.